HTTPS. It's http:// Karas on Crime. But hopefully sometimes.
Hi, I'm Jane Velez-Mitchell, and I am here with the one and only Beth Karas of karasoncrime.com. And Beth Karas is a renowned former prosecutor and journalist and author who has been covering this trial, the penalty phase retrial of convicted killer Jodi Arias, from beginning to end. But when will it end? That is one of the big questions. But we've got breaking news for you. You know, so many people have contacted me saying, Jane, what is going on with this Jodi Arias retrial to see if she lives or dies? It's dragging on. What's happening? And there's big news, so tell us about it, Beth Karas.
Hello, Jane. Thanks for having me on. Well, the Court of Appeals in Arizona, in Phoenix, issued an order on Wednesday, just a couple of days ago, saying that Judge Stevens has to open up the courtroom for the first defense witness who started to testify in late October. It was a mystery witness. We knew nothing. There was a total blackout of information, no public allowed, no information coming out. Well, the court said, not only must you cease doing that, Judge Stevens, they vacated her order, meaning it's no longer in effect. They told us who the witness is, and it was Jodi Arias herself. She testified for half a day before the proceedings were stopped because the media sued. And there have been all kinds of hearings and briefs filed, motions, and now the court has said, you know what, media, you win. First Amendment trumps. But we don't have the rationale yet. We don't have the decision. That is still coming. The court, however, said we are vacating the order. They identified the witness as Jodi Arias. The big question now is, does that mean that everything is back to sort of normal? We go in the courtroom, she resumes her testimony, and we can tweet and post from the courtroom, and there's a camera rolling, recording everything to show after the verdict? Or is the judge going to say something less? Cameras are off, no tweeting, no posting on Facebook? Or will Jodi Arias say, you know what? If I can't have my privacy, I'm not getting back on the stand. So we don't know really what the fallout will be, but it was a victory for the media and the First Amendment.
Well, first of all, you've answered one big question. Everybody was asking, is Jodi Arias going to take the stand in her own defense in this retrial to decide whether she lives or dies? So the first answer that we have, big news, yes, Jodi Arias has, in fact, taken the stand in her own defense. And, of course, everybody wondered that, to wonder, well, is she going to throw Travis Alexander, the victim, under the bus again and accuse him of everything under the sun? But the other question that I think we all have is, how long is this trial going to go on? It seems like every couple of days they take a break, or there's an emergency, they stop testimony. So given that we now know that this witness is Jodi Arias, and we don't know whether she's going to decide whether to take the stand again or not, depending on how this all plays out. But how long is this going to go on for, Beth?
It was supposed to end by December 18th. That's what jurors were told when they were selected in early October. Last week, the judge said to them, you know, this is not going to finish on December 18th. We're going into the next year. I want all of you to write down conflicting dates in January, put your juror number on the piece of paper, hand them in, and I will go over it. So I guess it's going through, maybe through January, perhaps with some dark days, because jurors didn't expect to be there in January, so there may be issues for some of them. But let me just tell you, it's a 4-day week, just like last year's trial. Monday through Thursday, no court on Friday. There have been 6 weeks of trial, and Jane, there has not been one 4-day week yet. Court has met 1, 2, or 3 days a week for 6 weeks.
I mean,
and
let me ask you this
coming
question.
week is another one.
I know that there had been this blackout where it was essentially a secret trial all of a sudden because the witness, well, what possible reason? We know Jodi Arias did 1 million interviews, not literally 1 million, but a heck of a lot of interviews. We know she likes to be on the media. We know she was on the witness stand the first time around for 18 days. What possible rationale could the judge have had to say, well, we're going to have a secret witness, and that secret witness is going to be Jodi Arias herself, because I thought that the rationale for having a secret witness was that anybody who would testify in Jodi Arias' defense, in other words, some expert psychologist who gets up there and starts talking and saying, yeah, Jodi Arias is a victim of domestic violence, which 99.9% of America believes is a lie, would get harassed, just like the last time around, the expert Alice LaViolette got harassed. So that was the rationale for having a secret proceeding where this witness would testify. Then I was shocked to see, a defense psychologist gets on the stand. We know this woman's name. We hear about her saying that Travis closeted Jodi, and on and on and on. That's not secret. But when Jodi Arias, Miss Publicity herself, takes a stand, suddenly that becomes secret? That makes no sense to me.
I don't understand the rationale for Jodi Arias, because if there's a danger of harm to her, the only harm would be that the jury's going to give her death. So maybe something the media would say would cause the jury to give her death. But that, I mean, she's not going to be harmed in jail, right? I mean, she's kind of safely locked away in jail. And you don't kick the general public and the media out of the courtroom if you fear that jurors are going to be exposed to what the media is writing. You admonish them, as all jurors are admonished, not to read, watch, listen to media reports. And if you really are fearful, you sequester the jury, like they did in Casey Anthony's case. You don't close the courtroom. You lock up the jury. So, I mean, that's not being done in this case. And I don't really know. So much of the argument was done in chambers. We only saw the papers for the Court of Appeals, and we don't have Judge Stevens's rationale, because that was done in chambers in another closed session where she said to the defense, yes, you prevail. Your argument outweighs the public courtroom. But the defense did say there are select witnesses, not just this one, not just Arias, but other witnesses who have a fear of testifying in public. Obviously not witness number 2, not the psychologist who's been on the stand for 6 days. She didn't care. But there are apparently other witnesses the defense may call who do care about being on camera, or just testifying in an open courtroom, rather.
Let me ask you this. So Monday, we're airing this on Monday. There's no court. So Tuesday, the court starts up. What is expected to happen on Tuesday? I mean, who do we know? Do we know whether this appeals court saying, no, you can't hold a secret proceeding and have a secret mystery witness, do we know how that's all going to play out?
Well, the second witness, Dr. Micio Fonseca, the psychologist, is still on the stand. She's on redirect. So she's back on the stand on Tuesday, and I suspect that she'll finish Tuesday or Wednesday. She's a marathon witness, like LaViolette and Samuels were last year, the domestic violence expert and the psychologist last year. So this will be 7 on Tuesday. So there's only court for the jury Tuesday and Wednesday this week, because allegations now, the proof is coming in that Travis Alexander surfed the net for porn.
Okay, let me start with that. You're saying, and this is important news, and I just want you to clarify it, because we had a little problem with the signal there. You were saying something about Travis Alexander and porn, which I know has been a big source of contention, because even though we know that this woman plotted this vicious killing, and there's really no excuse, no matter what this victim was doing, there's no excuse for slitting his throat ear to ear. But because Jodi Arias tried to play the victim and essentially tried to put the victim on trial, the issue of whether Travis Alexander, who was a Mormon and who was supposed to be chaste, was in any way, shape, or form involved in porn became a big issue. So what are you saying there? What is this big news?
Well, the state always maintained at last year's trial that there was no porn found on his computer, and that he didn't, and that he just didn't, surf the net for porn, didn't look at porn, and that Jodi Arias was a liar in saying that he did. Not a huge point, nothing that's going to cause a new trial. But the defense got a hold of the actual laptop for the first time on the eve of this retrial. They only had a mirror image in the past, and apparently it was a mirror image that didn't capture raw data. Now they have a new expert who looked at the actual computer and said, whoa, there's tens of thousands of sites visited and a lot of viruses on it, viruses you get by looking at porn sites. And many of them were sites that were redirected by the virus. The user didn't go there on his own. But there are many others where you had to actually do a keyword search. And so the user, and it's presumably it's Travis Alexander, the user was typing in certain words to come up with these porn sites. Well, anyway, we're in the middle of that hearing. The first jury didn't hear that. This jury's going to hear it now, but the question is, what's the remedy? Like, does it affect the first verdict? Does it affect the guilty verdict? I personally don't think it does, but I don't know what Judge Stevens will do with it. The defense is looking to dismiss the case, or at least dismiss the death penalty, take death penalty off the table. I don't see that happening. I don't see the case being dismissed, but it could be an issue on appeal now. Should the first jury have heard this? Yes, they should have heard it. Would it have made a difference in the guilty verdict? Personally, I don't think so, but I think maybe the split at the penalty phase, it was 8 for death, 4 for life. It might have been a little different. Maybe it would have been 7-5, 6-6, because maybe some jurors wouldn't have liked him because he looked at porn. He was quite frankly not so different from a lot of men. A lot of people look at porn. So I just don't see it as being dispositive of anything that's already happened. However, this is something the new jury will hear. And you know what? The defense is just looking to get to one juror, just one juror, who will say, I'm not giving her death. That's all they need. A hung jury 2 times in a row, she gets life under the law in Arizona.
Well, Beth Karas, you are a font of information as always. You always bring us into the trial. I feel like I just flew to Phoenix and walked into that courtroom after talking to you. As we wrap up, I have one final question. In terms of, we know there's no cameras, video cameras in the courtroom. Let's say the whole issue with the media's participation gets back to normal. What would that normal be? Are you allowed to sit in court? Are you allowed to tweet?
Well, yes. Well, right now, that's what we're doing. First of all, there is a camera. It's recording, but it's not live. So there's no live video camera. There's a still camera that's releasing photos every day. If everything goes back to the normal reporting that we're all doing and Jodi takes the stand again, we are tweeting and posting on Facebook, and I'm actually blogging the trial. I mean, every few minutes I am giving as much detail as possible, as close to a transcript with my explanations and little notes as possible, but that's on my website. So people who really want to follow it closely should go to the website.
Okay, and that is Karas on Crime, and it's a great website. You got to check it out. And Beth Karas, I just want to thank you. I know you're very busy and you're working like crazy, and look at all the books behind you. You are always studying.
Yeah, I know, I'm a big reader.
Thanks again, and I hope you come back. This is a wild trial. We all knew it would be, and who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? All right. Thank you. Beth Karas, Karas on Crime. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.